Manchester City 3, Tottenham Hotspur 3. So what that means, at the top of the table, Arsenal remain clear by 2 points. We'll talk about Liverpool and their comeback against Fulham a little bit later on. But we'll kick things off with that 6-goal thriller in Manchester as we welcome in Frank Leboeuf to the show. We'll hear from Frank in his lovely orange polo neck in a moment.
Oh, Frankie, Frank.
Thank you.
Holy smokes.
How much fun was this?
All
Again.
right. Well, Frank said 6 goals
Yep.
in his prediction, but it was 4-2 to City. Look, I don't think... There was no surprise the way the game started, right? We knew Spurs were not going to change. They were going to try and play out, take chances, and City pressed well. I mean, we talked about Arsenal yesterday, on yesterday's show, how well they pressed. City are the same. And so there was chances galore. I've got so much admiration for what this manager is trying to do at Tottenham Hotspur. To go to the best team in Europe, as they have been for the last 12 months or so, to go there with the walking wounded and the suspensions that they have and continue to try and do what they do and pull off a result like this. Let's not forget Liverpool went there recently with a full squad. And it was a decent game, right? But they went there with all guns blazing, pretty much, right? He went there with 2 hands tied behind his back. His feet were tied up as well, and yet they still were able to do this. There was flaws on both sides, but it was great to watch. I applaud what Tottenham did and how they went about it, and I think it defeats the argument somewhat about why don't we just go there and just try and keep this 10 behind the ball and see what we can get.
And people have been critical of Postecoglou. They say, look, you're going to have to change.
Well, I think, some people just don't understand the mindset. Pep Guardiola has got to where he's got. Carlo Ancelotti has got to where he's got, and Jurgen Klopp and others by doing what they believe in. He is going to succeed or fail his way. And I have to say, as a neutral, I am thoroughly enjoying what Tottenham are doing. That being said, we've said before, Man City, who are the real title contenders in here, not Tottenham. Tottenham will not be there at the end of the season for all the good football. They cannot keep a clean sheet. They're not the only one in the Premier League up the top, but they cannot keep a clean sheet.
Frank, we will watch a lot of rubbish, don't we? And part of this job, this wasn't part of it. Brilliant.
That was amazing, and I'm with Craig. I think Postecoglou has faith on what he's offering to the players. He knows exactly what he wants, and he's ready to die with his ideas. And I said yesterday the 6 goals because I knew that Tottenham would go for that. I mean, since the game I saw against Chelsea, where they were 9 against 11, they kept on going forward and trying to play high on the field. Well, I felt that the guys, the only ideas that the guy has is in fact going forward and trying to push the team to his best and to force the opponent to defend, even if it's Manchester City. That was amazing that they never gave up. I really thought after Grealish's 3rd goal, I said, well, that's over. And they're going to concede another goal and I'm going to be right for my prediction. But the players, they kept on going. They kept on believing on what Postecoglou taught them, in fact, knowing now that they have the quality to come back anytime against even the best team in Europe, as Craig said. And they did. Amazing game, enjoyable everywhere, for every minute. That was Premier League, really Premier League, like I love watching.
But the problem is, if you're a City fan watching this, every time a team goes forward against you at the moment, you feel like you're going to concede. What's going on?
The transitions defensively for Manchester City are all over the place. And I mean all over the place. And while I appreciate Manchester City's and Spurs' ability to go and press high up the field, in the case of Manchester City, as they go and press high up the field, if they don't regain possession of the ball right away and teams play out of that pressure, what's concerning to me, and I love me some Pep Guardiola and I love his approach to the game. But you have to have a basic structure defensively that you fall into, a certain shape that you fall into once other teams have broken through that pressure. And there is no shape to Manchester City once other teams break through that pressure. People are just running and sprinting back out of control, trying to cover a space, hoping that they can get on the way of something and clear the danger that way. Organization, structure, those things, even for a team like Manchester City, need to be important. I know you're going to have most of the ball. I know you're going to have the possession. But at some point, you're going to lose it. At some point, another team is going to be able to play through you. And a team like Spurs can play through you, and they did. And when that happens, there needs to be an understanding as to what positions players take defensively. If they don't, it's what we see time and time again. We saw it against Chelsea. We saw it against Leipzig. We saw it against Liverpool. We saw it against Spurs. This team, when they are running back towards their own goal, it's all over the place. There is no organization, and a team that can actually put passes together is going to find the open man, and that open man is going to score goals.
My son has a field day against City, it seems, almost every time. It's probably one of his favourite teams to play against. Everybody else would be like, oh, Man City this weekend. But actually, the reason because they play the way they play allows him that space to run in behind. If you think back to last year, some of those balls at the Etihad that Harry Kane was whipping in behind first time, and Son was just using his pace. And we saw that again today. Unfortunately for him, he got himself an own goal as well, but you couldn't apportion any blame. I tell you who I've really liked recently as well. Now, Bentancur came in, unfortunately got injured again from that bad challenge from Matty Cash, but I think Lo Celso has done a really, really good job. Now, we know he's a good player. He's been out on loan at Villarreal. He comes back in. He looks as if he's still surplus to requirement, but he can play so many positions across that sort of midfield or wide, and I think he's done, even before his goal, I think he's been doing really well. And we talk about Postecoglou. He did somewhat retreat a little bit at half-time.
What changed in the second half for Spurs?
Well, one of the things changed was he realised Brian Hill is a very talented technical player, but he's lightweight, right? He's lightweight, so he switched Johnson to the other side, the left side. He put Kulusevski in the right, brings Højbjerg on, who is probably the worst passer, one of them in the Tottenham team, certainly from midfield going forward, but at least he'll run about and make some tackles, fill some holes, and it allowed Lo Celso to go and sort of float around a little bit more. He got himself a goal, so they had three midfielders in there, and they had a little bit more power and pace in the wide positions. And Brennan Johnson is really, really quick, the young signing from Nottingham Forest, and that was able to give Kyle Walker some more food for thought.
Right.
Because in the first half, Johnson was on the right-hand side, and you saw him outpace, I think it was Akanji. So it gave a little bit more food for thought for City on that right-hand side. And once they started asking some more questions, you can just feel in the City crowd that they know they're not defending as well as they did last year. That being said, I'm still like Frank in a sense that I did feel every time City got their nose in front, they were going to go and kill this game off, which I think many thought they would. And I suppose there's another one big controversy that happened right at the end.
Yeah, obviously the referee should have played the advantage. It looked like he did initially.
He did, and then I wonder if he felt that the Tottenham players had stopped. Do you know what I'm saying? And then he felt the need to blow the whistle. But it looked like look, on the face of it, it looked like, and it looks like a horrendous call, right, by the referee. But for all those City fans and others moaning about it, I would say one thing, right? Simon Hooper did not allow 3 goals to go in the back of the net, and Simon Hooper wasn't blasting the ball over on all the chances that they missed in the first half. So you can't just, if you're looking at it from a City perspective, once again, 3 goals at home here. 4 goals at Chelsea. Ali talked about Leipzig. Then there's a Liverpool game that they had by the scruff of the neck. They were struggling in the end. Then you look at the chances they missed in the first half, particularly Haaland, right? So when you look in, you can't just keep saying referee. Yes, it was a terrible decision, but it's not the reason City took a point out of this game. It was their own deficiencies.
Frank, defensively, how easy is this to fix for City?
Do you mean to fix against City or to fix the problem that City has?
To fix the problem, as they said, concede 4 against Chelsea, 2 against Leipzig, obviously Liverpool and now Spurs as well. You know, you can't keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, but it's not automatically because of the defense. I think they outnumbers in the middle of the park. And Craig explained, you know, the how Postecoglou changed his tactic and the player that he had on the field. I think they were Tottenham, Spurs. They were one more in the middle of the park against Akanji and
Rodri.
Rodri. Thank you very much. And it's how they managed to get higher on the field and to surprise more. They took more risks defensively, but they put under pressure the midfielders, Man City's midfielders. And after, I wasn't very impressed by Guardiola today. I was more impressed by Diaz. I think Diaz came back to maybe his best, I would say, and in numbers of occasions, he made a good stop, like against I think it was once in a good tackle in the second half. But otherwise, I found Manchester City pretty fragile, and I think you have to go back to being more homogeneous on the field, like Guardiola tries to do right now. I think he put like almost 4 forward, and they didn't really communicate to each other. They didn't replace themselves, in the middle of the park when they were losing the ball. It's where it starts. And when you play against the Spurs team who think automatically to go forward and go like, I'm going for it, and I go 100%, well, you put yourself at risk. And it's how you have to change the thing where, you have the possession of the ball, and Ellie mentioned that, but you have to anticipate when you're going to lose the ball. That's how you become very strong, very solid, because you already know what you're going to do when you lose the ball. That's how they can cope with the situation they are facing right now.
Has anybody ever seen a transformation? See, I've been saying in a team that last April and May, we sat here and if the boss had said to you, watch Tottenham for me today, we'd all have been like, oh, for God's sake. And it's literally the same players minus the best striker in Europe.
Yep.
Never seen, I personally, at elite level, have never seen. Now, this is not suggesting that they're going to go and win anything, that's a different story, but I've never seen a similar squad of players have such a change in style in 6 or 7 months.
It makes them very easy to root for, doesn't it?
And while I agree with all of that,
Arsenal fans must be hating this.